Thank you.
Merhaba and welcome to Centre of English Studies and welcome to this IEFT webinar. It's absolutely amazing to be able to speak to people in Turkey. It never ceases to astound me how great it is to have the opportunity to speak across the world over the internet. My name is Johnny Kane, and myself and my colleague IPEC are going to tell you all about our family of schools at Centre of English Studies. And in order to do this, I'm going to share a presentation with you. Now, during this webinar, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to ask questions. You can ask them in the chat box at the side, or we'll also give you some WhatsApp if you prefer to use that. But all of that is coming up. Now, let me find the presentation so I can share it with you. Why is that? There we go. Okay, so hopefully I'm sharing my screen with you. IPEC, is the screen being shared?
Yes, Johnny, it's seen.
Perfect. Well, as I said, welcome to this CES webinar. My name is Johnny Kane, and I'm the principal at CES Edinburgh, one of our schools based in Scotland. To give you a little bit of background information, I've worked for CES for 4 years, and as well as being a school principal and an English teacher, in my spare time, I'm also a rugby referee. But hopefully, I won't be giving out any red cards during this presentation. Joining me today is İpek Kaleli, who's our Turkish representative here at CES. İpek's worked with CES since 2019, an absolutely valued member of our team. She's a very experienced educational consultant, and perhaps most importantly, she's also a dog owner, because you can always trust someone who owns a dog. Now, I was born in the UK, so I'm British. İpek was born in Turkey and speaks Turkish. Most of this presentation will be delivered in English, but if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask in Turkish, İpek is going to be manning the chat box and answering questions as they go. We're also going to put İpek's WhatsApp number on our slides. You can see at the bottom here. If you've got any questions that are private questions that you don't want to ask generally, you can send İpek a message and she'll get back to you. But with that administration out the way, let me tell you all about Centre of English Studies. And what I'd like to do at the start is ask you 3 questions that I plan to answer during this webinar. The first one is, why should I study English? The second, why should I study English abroad? And finally, the third most important question, why should I study English with CES? And hopefully, during this webinar, we'll answer all of those questions for you. So let's start with the first one. Why should I study English? The world is a big place, and there are many languages there. There's 7.5 billion people on Earth at the moment. And believe it or not, 1.5 billion of them speak English. That's 20% of the entire world's population. To put it in context, English is spoken in 118 different countries around the world, and it's the official language in 59 of them. And perhaps more importantly for the modern day, 60% of everything that is posted online on the internet is posted in English. So English is everywhere. And why should we learn to study English? It's for communication, because we want the opportunity to interact with people all over the world. So communication is absolutely key. But most English is spoken between non-native speakers. Out of that 1.5 billion English speakers, 1 billion of them only speak English as a second language. So there's plenty of opportunities to learn and to engage. And that's what we do at CES. We give you the opportunity to boost your communication skills and to boost your English skills. So if that's why you should learn English, why should you go and study English abroad? After all, at the moment, we're interacting over the internet. And over the past 5-6 months, it's never been easier to learn a language online. In fact, the number of schools and the number of individual teachers that are now offering English online has never been higher. This summer, for the first time at CES, we offered our own online language courses. So the courses are out there. What's the benefit of learning English in a particular country? After all, online learning apps such as Duolingo, Rosetta Stone, these are some of the top apps on the Apple Store or indeed Google Play. And that's because people are desperate to learn a language and they're looking for the best way and the easiest way to do it. So there are lots of options, but, and this is a big but, it's not the same. Learning English through an online course is not as effective as learning English in person. I did have a video for you of one of our online classes from the summer. Unfortunately, the volume doesn't come through, so I'm just going to skip past it. But what I will say is learning a language online does not create the same experience as learning a language in person. In fact, I would say it's the difference between listening to music and playing music. Or if we're going to use a different comparison, learning language online is a little bit like watching football on a TV. Going abroad to learn the language, that's far more like playing football in a stadium filled with thousands of people. It's not a passive experience. It's interactive and it's more energetic and it's more effective. And that's why at CES, at Centre of English Studies, we believe very firmly in the importance of face-to-face education. What are the benefits of studying English abroad, of studying English in Britain, in Ireland, or in Canada? Well, when you're studying abroad, you have the opportunity to interact with other students from all over the world. You have the opportunity to learn in dedicated educational environments. During the summer, I tried to teach myself French from working in my own living room. I was distracted all the time. If you are learning a subject in a dedicated space, that learning is going to be more effective and is going to stay with you long term. Going abroad, you also get the opportunity to hear natural language and to listen to natural expressions and idioms. You can read words off a page, but that's not got the life, the energy, and the rhythm that you get when you hear someone talking in their own native language. And it also gives you the opportunity to speak with your teachers and staff outside of the lessons. At CES, we value the whole experience. If you're finding something difficult in class, it is very easy to knock on the teacher's room door and ask some questions. You can't do that as easily or as effectively when you're learning an online course. So there are massive, massive benefits to studying English abroad. And finally, and in some ways most importantly, it gives you the opportunity to engage with the local culture. And that final word there, culture, is really important because language and culture go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, And you can't understand the full meaning, the full impact of words without understanding the culture that's behind them. And culture, it can mean lots of different things. For some people, it's sport. It might be famous people from that country. It could be your histories and traditions, or it could be the weather. And you can immediately tell this is a picture of England because they're all with umbrellas. All of these different aspects go into what makes up a people, makes up a population, and what makes up a culture. And that culture has decided how that language has grown over the years. It has caused words to change meaning, to morph, and to evolve. And it's only by learning more about the culture that you're going to feel more confident about the language, and you're going to be able to react better to new words and expressions that you might not have heard before. So learning a language abroad is a much stronger and much more effective experience. And we put a lot of effort into the cultural program at CES. These 6 people in front of you are called our yellow shirts. And I think you can probably guess why. They're also our social program team, and you will find these at every single one of the Centre of English schools. And these people are as important as your teachers, because these are the ones that are going to make sure you're engaging with the local population, engaging with the local culture, and ensuring that your language learning is happening not just inside the classroom, but is happening 20 hours a day. It's happening everywhere. Every time you go out of that classroom door, you are still continuing to learn. And that's what our yellow shirts are there to do. Make sure you have that great social experience. Again, if you go online, you can see a short video from Tom, our head social program coordinator, where he explains a little bit more about all the different things you can do when you're studying at CES. And that's going to be available on our Instagram page later today. So I've said you can study the social program at CES, you can engage with it, but why should you choose CES? Why should you choose Centre of English Studies? After all, there are lots of very good language schools all over the world. What makes us special? Well, I could tell you we've been going since 1979. Centre of English Studies has been operating for 40 years, and we plan to still be here in 40 years' time. We own all of our own buildings. We have lots of assets. We are here to put that experience into practice. So when you come to study with us, you're getting 40 years of language teaching experience. Over that period, we have helped more than 50,000 students achieve their educational ambitions, whether that's go on to university, whether it's getting new jobs, whether it's immigrating to a different country, or whether it's simply improving their confidence. We have the experience to help deliver the success. So I could tell you that's one of the reasons you should study with CES. Or I could tell you about our different locations. We started off 40 years ago in Dublin. We then moved into the south of England with Worthing in London, started to move further north with Oxford, Leeds, Harrogate, into Scotland with Edinburgh, and now, a couple of years ago, we moved into Canada with our school in Toronto. I could tell you, you should come to CES because we're still expanding, we're still growing, we're still giving you new experiences. Again, I could tell you that. I could also tell you about all the awards, all the recognitions, we have got over the years. I could tell you that we are exam centres. We offer the IELTS exam not just as a preparation course, but you can sit those exams inside our own buildings. I could tell you that. I could tell you we've been nominated for the Star Award 7 times in a row. I could tell you we have been nominated as Centres of Excellence. These are all things I could tell you about why you should come and study with CES. And they are all very, very good reasons. But they're not the best reason. Why should you come and study with CES? Well, you should come and study with us because of something we all have inside of us, our DNA. And the DNA of CES comes in 3 words: care, excellence, and success. And by sticking to these 3 principles, we can make sure that if you come to study with CES, you will have the best language experience possible. At CES, I told you, we were started 40 years ago in 1979. We were started by one lady, Rosemary Quinn, and today the schools are run and operated by her 3 sons. That means CES is a family school. And every student who joins our school, well, you don't just join a school, you join a family. And family cares for each other and wants to make sure they succeed to the best of their ability. That commitment to care extends both inside and outside the classroom. We've already talked about the social and cultural program, which is a big, big part of the language experience, but we also make sure we have high quality teaching taking place inside the classroom as well. When you come and study at a CES school, you know you're at a CES school from the very first moment. From that welcome, when you come through the door, we will make you feel at home. And as we all know, if you're relaxed, you will learn better. And if you're learning, you're going to be happy and you'll want to keep on learning. It's a virtuous circle. And it's something that CES we do exceptionally well, and we can't wait to welcome you to our family. We said we focus on delivering the best teaching we can. And we believe that in order to give the best lessons, you need the very best teachers. So every teacher at CES is CELTA qualified. They all hold the CELTA qualification. And every director of studies we have are Delta qualified at a minimum. So that means they hold the equivalent of a master's qualification in English language. We recruit high quality because if we have high quality teachers, you are having high quality lessons. And something else that is also very important at CES and separates us from a lot of language schools, every single one of our principals, including myself, are former teachers. So education runs right through our DNA. When we're making decisions that will best benefit the teachers and the students. So you know, English language is at our very core. And that's one of the reasons you should be choosing CES as a destination to study. I do have a short video where some of the teachers introduce themselves. Again, unfortunately, the sound is not working today, but that video will be up online. So why not check out our Instagram page at CES Schools, or indeed our Twitter page, also at CES Schools. Every single one of our schools, all 8 of them, have their own Facebook pages where you can catch up on videos and photos showing you genuine student experiences. What is success? Because I said that was one of the key points in the CES DNA. Well, for some people, success is getting an exam qualification. We are IELTS test centres, we're Cambridge test centres, we're OET test centres, and we're Pearson exam test centres. We can help you achieve your goals, no matter how specific that is. We have highly experienced teachers who have been with us for 5, 10, 15 years. They know their subjects and they know how to make sure you get the score you need. So for some people, IELTS, Cambridge, these exams are how they determine success. But remember, at its core, language success comes down to communication. And we promote communication skills very heavily. You'll be looking at reading, writing, listening, and speaking. You'll be interacting with those students in your class, those students who come from all over the world. And by interacting, you'll be improving, and by improving, you'll be able to achieve whatever is success for yourself. And we are there to help you get there. Okay, so why should I study with CES? Let's break it down. You get an incredibly warm welcome when you arrive. You have a friendly school when you're studying with us. You have great teachers who are there to make sure you get the best experience possible. You get an amazing cultural experience outside of the classroom, which means learning is not condensed to 3 hours, 5 hours a day. It's happening all the time. And finally, you get our commitment to care, to excellence, and to success. So that's why I think you should come and study with us here at CES. And we'd love to have you, because as we said, we're incredibly friendly and we're interested in you as students. So if CES is the school or the family of school you should study with, where should you study? Because after all, the world is a big place. At CES, we have 8 exciting locations, each one a little bit different. In England, we have Worthing, London, Oxford, Leeds, and Harrogate. Some of those are going to be names that you already recognise, and some of them are going to be surprises you'll come to love. In Scotland, where I come from, we have our school in Edinburgh, in Scotland's capital city. If you go over the pond to Ireland, you'll find yourself in Dublin, Ireland's capital city, and one of the most vibrant cities in the entire world. And finally, if you want to go somewhere even further afield, here at CES, we can offer your location in Canada when we go to Toronto. And certainly, what makes these locations special is they're all different, because you are all different. Some people prefer to study in big cities. We have that. Some people would prefer to study somewhere quieter, somewhere smaller. We have that as well. And the job of myself and my colleagues here at CES, my colleague IPEC, is to make sure we help you choose the right destination to study in. Because again, it's all about maximizing your experience. You're investing money traveling abroad. You're also investing time. We want to make sure that investment gives you the biggest and best possible return. So let's have a look at some of those destinations. And we're going to start off where English started, in England. So let's start off by looking at London. And I'm guessing this is the city that most of you will have already heard of. London, very famous It's England's capital city. Indeed, it's Britain's capital city. It's a big city. It's a population of 8 million people. Now, I know I'm speaking to some people from Istanbul, and Istanbul is much bigger, but London is the biggest city in the UK, and it's also the most multinational city in the UK, attracting people from all over the world. Our school in London, CES Wimbledon, is based in one section of London, not in the city centre itself, but about 10 minutes further out, in a quieter, more accessible area, perhaps most famous for the Wimbledon tennis tournament. The school itself has 11 classrooms, and it has an excellent nationality mix. Last year, we attracted students from 78 different countries to study at CES London, because London, as I said before, attracts people from all over the world. And Centre of English Studies is a name that attracts people from all over the world. London gives you so many opportunities. Although it's multinational, at its heart, it is still very English. This photo of fish and chips was taken from a pub just 2 minutes walk from our language school. We've got a lovely outdoor garden, so you can take advantage of the British weather when it's nice and sunny. Wimbledon is very safe, it's very accessible. It's an area that you can walk about in and you can enjoy. And if you do want to go into the heart of London, into the very city centre, it's just 10, 15 minutes away by train or underground. Now, at this point, I'm going to bring in my colleague Ipek, because Ipek has visited all of our schools at Centre of English Studies, and I'd love for her to tell you a little bit about her experience when she was over in London. So Ipek, what did you think about London when you were there? Oh, I think we might have lost Ipek at the moment, in which case I'll move on to the next city, and we can always bring her back in a little bit later on. What I will say, London is perfect for more experienced travellers. If you've been abroad before, London can offer so many opportunities. However, if it's going to be your first time abroad, London is quite a big city, and there might be some other options that you would like to explore instead. And one of those could be Edinburgh, my home city. Now, Edinburgh is a capital city, but whereas London was the capital of England, Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland, and it's a much smaller city. In fact, the population of Edinburgh is just 456,000, less than 500,000 people. But it still contains everything you would expect in a capital city. In fact, it contains everything you would expect and a volcano. This photo you can see is from some of our students who are climbing up Arthur's Seat, which is a dormant volcano you can find right in the middle of the city. And it gives you amazing views. And one of the great things about Edinburgh is that it's a very modern city set in a very historical context. Nearly 20% of the population of Edinburgh are university students, with the city itself having 4 universities. It's a great destination to come and study in. Our school in Edinburgh is a little bit bigger than the one in London. It's got 12 classrooms. And I would say Edinburgh is one of those cities that has to be seen and has to be experienced. It's Britain's second most visited city, but it's also one that is regarded as its most enjoyable and one of the best places to live. So if you're looking for somewhere to study, somewhere different to London, then Edinburgh is somewhere I would definitely recommend. Edinburgh also acts as a gateway to the rest of Scotland, a country that has tremendous variety. So you're not just studying in one city, you're studying in a whole country. So that's it. Yes, Ipek, if you're there, can you tell us a little bit about Edinburgh and London, what you thought were the differences between them?
I was here during all the meeting, but I cannot talk. I had some issues about my microphone. So at the end of your location presentations, I can give total information for all locations if you want.
Perfect, we'll do that. So at the end, we'll come back and we'll get Ipek to tell you about all of the destinations.
Yeah, it will be better. Okay.
Perfect. What we're going to do, we're going to move slightly further south now. So we've been in London, we've been in Edinburgh, in the capital cities. What if you're looking for a city experience, but using quite a young population? Well, have you ever thought about Leeds? This might be one of those destinations whose name doesn't ring bells, even though their football team has just been promoted to the Premier League. Leeds is a thriving northern city. It's in the north of England. It's slightly bigger than Edinburgh. It's a population of 784,000 people. Similarly to Edinburgh, it's a thriving university city with a very young population. Average age in Leeds is around about 25 to 30. It's energetic. It has some of the best shopping and social scenes in the whole of the UK. So it's a city where you're going to have the opportunity to put your language into practice. And that's incredibly important, because if you're learning high quality English in the classroom, you want to be able to use it outside the classroom as well. Leeds has got 10 classrooms, so it's a medium-sized school, and it's an amazingly interesting city. It's also one of the UK's greenest cities, so you're going to have the opportunity to wander around outside and to really take advantage of the weather, because it's always sunny in Leeds. A couple of photos of students enjoying themselves in Leeds. You can see them outside taking advantage of the glorious weather. You can see some of the amazing architecture in the background. And most importantly, you can see them enjoying themselves in the city centre in the company of our yellow shirt. Because it's not just the academic side, it's the social side as well that makes Leeds such a great destination to attend and such a brilliant CES school. Okay. So we've looked at 3 cities. How about we go somewhere smaller? And we're going right down to the south of England to a town called Worthing. And this is a town that you'd find on the English coast, very close to Brighton. And it's our first town rather than the city, because its population is just over 100,000 people. So it's very accessible and it's very safe. It's just 30 minutes from London by bus, and it's a perfect place for you to really develop your language skills. It's not a multicultural area. It's a very English area. So the people you speak to are going to be native English speakers. You're going to get that experience from going abroad. Worthing is perfect for people going abroad for the very first time, because you can build up your confidence. And as you get that confidence up, you can then move on to London, to Edinburgh, or even further afield. Worthing is our largest school in the UK. It's got 13 classrooms. So even our largest school is nice, small, and quite friendly. A big, big plus about Worthing, you are within walking distance to the beach. So after you've spent the morning in class, why not wander on down and go for a swim? You'd be surprised how many students do so. So that's Worthing. Here are a couple of pictures. You can see the pier at the side, and you can also see Tom, our social program coordinator, preparing our common room for the students. It's really important in all of our buildings that we have social areas where you can interact with students from other classes, because you don't want to just be talking to people with the same language level as you. In order to really get the benefit from learning a language, you need to be challenging yourself. Speak to people with higher levels and speak to people with lower levels. At CES, we will provide the environment to allow you to practice your communication. So that's the schools we're looking at in the UK. How about if you want somewhere a bit more exotic? Well, we're moving across to Dublin, Ireland. And this is a really special school for CES because it was our original school. Yes, we may be an English language company, but we started in Ireland. And we started in Ireland's capital city. Dublin has a population of about 1.5 million, and it is regularly voted as one of the friendliest cities, not just in Europe, but in the entire world. And as part, or as Dublin's oldest continuous running language school, CES Dublin is right at the heart of the city. We have 3 buildings, all with a great central location, so it's easy to travel in, and it's easy to engage with the lifeblood of Dublin, because it is a big school. You have the 40 classrooms there, you have lots of students, but again, one of the main reasons for going abroad is to engage with the locals. And Dublin is superb because the people there want to talk. In Britain, if you're on a bus, everyone is quiet. In Dublin, if you're on a bus, everyone is talking. And what better way to learn a language than to be surrounded by it? So Dublin, there's a reason it's our most successful school and our most popular. And it's because it provides the environment for you to improve your language. Here's a couple of examples of our buildings located in the city centre. We've got external gardens, again, all to promote interaction between students. So that's Ireland and that's the UK. Moving to the new world, traveling vast distances across the Atlantic takes us to Canada, and in particular, takes us to our CES school in Toronto. CES Toronto is our youngest school. It's just 2 years old. Already, it's a vibrant and exciting part of the CES family. It's located in Canada's most international city. Similarly to London, it attracts 70, 80 different nationalities into its classes every single year. Toronto itself has a population of 6 million people, so a little bit smaller than London, but again, if you're looking for that big city experience, Toronto is absolutely ideal. Our school at CES Toronto is right in the city centre. It's about 10 minutes walk from Toronto Harbour, and it's less than 5 minutes walk from this sign that you see in front of you at the moment. You couldn't get a better location. So as soon as you finish in your class, you are out into the city and you are experiencing life. We've got 25 classrooms in our building at 112 Elizabeth Street. It's a superb building, which again continues the theme of creating a family atmosphere, because we want you to feel at home, to feel relaxed, and to make sure you're getting the benefit of our excellent teachers. Toronto is also named as one of the cleanest cities in the world and one of the safest. So for both short and long-term students, Toronto is an excellent city where you can feel at home. And it is going to feel different to UK or to Ireland because it is North American. So you're getting the chance to experience North American culture. And we all know Canadians, like the Irish, are some of the friendliest people anywhere in the world. So those are the 6 destinations I was going to tell you about. Ipek, is there anything you'd like to add based on your experiences visiting these schools?
Yeah. Yes, I really would like to. I have so great experiences. So I was in UK last summer and I was in Toronto on December. But I'm gonna explain my experiences in Turkish if you want. So I think it will be öncelikle herkese merhaba, hoş geldiniz tekrardan. Ben CES Center for English Studies Dil Okulu Türkiye temsilcisiyim. İsmim İpek Köklü. Öncesinde bulundum, şimdi Dil Okulu temsilciliği yapıyorum. Şu an ben geçtiğimiz yaz dediğim gibi İngiltere'deydim ve bütün şubelerimizi ziyaret ettim. Hepsini birebir deneyimledim. Hepsiyle ilgili hani ilgi çekebilecek küçük detaylar verdim aslında ben size. En son olarak önce Toronto'daydım. Toronto'dan döndüm, pandemi başladı. Ben şöyle anlatayım. Dublin Ireland'da bizim merkezimiz asıl sistemimiz. Ve bizim en çok öğrenciler tarafından çok tercih edilen lokasyonumuz Dublin. Johnny, could you unmute your microphone? There is the echo in the study space. Thank you so much. Geliyor sesim. İki mikrofon açık olunca sesler karışıyor. Şöyle anlatayım ben size. Bizim Dublin şubemiz, merkez şubemiz en çok öğrenciler tarafından da en çok tercih edilen lokasyonumuz. Neden? Çünkü sizlerin de bildiği gibi 25 hafta ve üzeri dil eğitimi alan öğrenciler Dublin'de part-time 20 saatte çalışma iznine sahip oluyorlar. O nedenle hani Dublin lokasyonunun zaten hani bu noktada çok olduğu için ekstradan bir şey vermemize pek bir detaya da gerek kalmıyor. Bunun haricinde Londra şubemiz. Neden Londra? Londra bildiğiniz gibi çok büyük bir şehir. Londra'nın çok büyük olmasının artıları da var, eksileri de var. Ancak biz Londra'da Wimbledon bölgesindeyiz. Wimbledon Londra'nın kuzey kısmında. Belki sizler de biliyorsunuzdur. Wimbledon tenis turnuvasından dolayı hani çok popüler olan bir lokasyon. Wimbledon bölgesinde. Bunun artısı şu. Londra merkezde eğitim alan öğrencilerin genellikle konaklamaları okullarından çok uzakta oluyor. Ve hani çok uzun bir süre ev ile okul arasında geçiriyorlar. Bizim Wimbledon şubesinde olduğu için konaklamalarımızın hepsi de Wimbledon bölgesinde. O nedenle öğrencileri hem ekstradan bir ulaşım masrafından kurtarılıyorlar hem de aynı zamanda zaman konusunda oldukça avantajlı duruma geçiyor öğrenciler. Buradan Leeds'e geçiyorum. Leeds'e gittiğimde ben gerçekten çok şaşırdım. Hiç kafamda öyle bir Leeds beklemiyordum. Ancak Leeds gerçekten beni çok şaşırttı. Yine çok oldukça Londra kadar olmasa bile çok büyük bir şehir. Ancak birbirlerine yani şehir merkezini o kadar güzel kurmuşlar ki her yer birbirine yürüyüş mesafesi uzaklığında olan. Yani öğrenci büyük bir şehirde eğitim almak istiyor ama yürüyüş mesafesinde kolaylıkla ulaşabilmek istiyorsa Leeds gerçekten bu noktada çok avantajlı bir şehir. Beni en çok şaşırtan iki özelliği Leeds'in Londra'dan sonra İngiltere'nin en büyük ikinci finansal merkezi Leeds. Aynı zamanda da büyük bir öğrenci şehri. 4 tane üniversite var. O yüzden hani Türkiye'den örnek verirsem Eskişehir ile İzmir'in karışımı bir şehir gibi düşünebilirsiniz. İzmir'i şu noktada ekliyorum çünkü yine Londra'dan sonra kişi başına en çok kafe ve restoranın düştüğü şehir Leeds'miş. Hani o nedenle 24 saat hareketli oldukça aktif bir şehir olarak düşünebilirsiniz. Edinburgh'a geçiyorum. Yine İngiltere'nin kuzeyinde kalıyorum. Edinburgh beni yani inanılmaz fantastik bir şehir olmasıyla gerçekten çok büyüledi. Yani şöyle bir film seti hayal edebilirsiniz kafanızda. Harry Potter'ın ve Game of Thrones'un film setinin karışımı bir şehir gibi düşünün. Yani şehrin tepesinde 3 tane çok büyük kale var. Geri kalan her yer yemyeşil ve inanılmaz fantastik bir ortamda hissediyorsunuz kendinizi. Yine Türk oranının da az olmasından dolayı genellikle bizim Türk öğrenciler tarafından çok bilinmiyor ama aslında bilinse de çok iyi olur. Çünkü Türk öğrenciler genellikle gittiği yerlerde az Türk'ün olmasını tercih ediyorlar. O noktada Edinburgh gerçekten güzel bir seçenek. Oradan en güneye doğru iniyorum. İngiltere'nin en güney sahili Worthing. İnanılmaz keyifli bir sahil şehri. Genellikle Worthing çok fazla bilinmiyor ama Brighton dediğimizde özellikle yaz dönemlerinde Türk öğrenciler tarafından çok tercih ediliyor. Worthing Brighton'a yaklaşık 20 dakika otobüsle ulaşım mesafesinde. Yine dediğim gibi Türk öğrenciler Brighton'ı çok tercih ediyorlar ama bir yandan da diyorlar ki mümkün olduğunca Türk öğrenci sayısı az olsun. Hani Brighton'a giden öğrenciler çok fazla Türk'le karşılaşıyorlar. O nedenle ben şöyle yönlendiriyorum öğrencileri. Worthing şubemize gelebilirsiniz. Dediğim gibi 20 dakika ulaşım. İnanılmaz yakın. Yani gününüzün ders haricinde kalan kısmının tamamını da Brighton'da geçirebilirsiniz. Hani o noktada çok güzel bir seçenek. Dediğim gibi sahil şehri henüz çok fazla turistikleşmemiş bir şehir. O nedenle hani gerçekten British insanları orada o kültürü de çok kolaylıkla yaşayabilirsiniz. En son gittiğim yer Toronto ve ben Toronto'dayken hani çok açıkça anlatayım, telefonla annemle konuşuyordum telefonda ve anneme dedim ki yani anne ben hani Toronto'yu gördüm, hani dünyada birçok yeri gördüm ama hani gerçekten Toronto'yu gördükten sonra kolay kolay hiçbir yer beni memnun edemeyebilir. Gerçekten inanılmaz bir şehir, yani inanılmaz bir medeniyet, herkes inanılmaz insan canlısı ve hani herkes arkadaş canlısı. Zaten çok fazla göçmen alan bir ülkeden bahsediyoruz. O nedenle hani gerçekten dil öğrenmek için ve hani birazcık böyle utanıyorsanız, hani konuşmaktan endişe ederim, işte hata yapmaktan korkuyorum diyorsanız gerçekten Toronto bu noktada bir numara. Çünkü herkes size destek olmaya çalışacaktır orada diyorum ve sözü yine Johnny'ye teslim ediyorum. Johnny, it's your turn.
Well, thank you very much. I can see we've got some questions that have come in as well, so I'll let you get back to those. The answer is yes, Mustafa, you can change study periods, so yes to that. I am aware we're getting very close to the end of our time, so I'm just going to briefly run through the accommodation option, because it's really important that you have good accommodation, because if you're not happy where you're staying, it doesn't matter how good the lessons are, you're not going to have fun and you're not going to learn. So we offer homestay accommodation at all of our schools. It's the most popular form of accommodation for language learners, and it gives you the opportunity to have that long-term interaction with native speakers. We offer accommodation on full board and half board bases, depending on the school you go to. And all the information about this is available online and on our website. What I really want to stress, all the homestay accommodation in our UK schools and also in Dublin as well are organised by our accommodation teams. We do not use outside agencies to place our students. We won't use an outside agency to place you. You have joined our school, we take care of you. That's a CES promise, and that's part of our DNA. We also offer residential accommodation. This is becoming more and more popular, especially amongst experienced travellers. So we offer it in 4 of our UK schools, and we also offer it in Dublin and Toronto as well. The accommodation is normally a self-catering flat. You have your own room within a larger flat, normally sharing between 4 or 5. And this is great if you've travelled before, you're a bit more confident, or indeed if you've got special dietary requirements and you feel more comfortable preparing your own food. Whether it's homestay accommodation or whether it's residential accommodation, we put as much care into getting that part of your course right as we do to the tuition and to the social side. Because only by making sure all 3 parts are correct can we guarantee you the course and the experience that you deserve. So, Centre of English Studies, it's all about care, experience and success. Thank you very much for joining IPEC and myself at this presentation. Thank you very much for listening, because I know it is tiring to listen to a Scotsman for 45 minutes, but we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much.
Çok teşekkür ederim. Katılan, dinleyen.
Thank you very much for the great presentation. It was very informative, and you covered all the questions Ms. İpek covered down while you're presenting. So, is there anything you would like to add before we say goodbye?
Actually, I try to answer all questions from the question part. I believe I answered, but is there something else you would like to add, Johnny?
İpek has spent quite a long time trying to teach me a little bit of Turkish, so I'm going to try and say thank you. Teşekkürler. I'm hoping that is thank you. And just to say, I've been fortunate enough. I've worked with students from Turkey for 4 or 5 years now. It's a fantastic country to visit, and there's so many similarities between Turkish life and life in the UK and Ireland. And we always see Turkish students when they come over and join us, they absolutely love it, and they make such a positive contribution to our schools. We want you to come back. We are here with open arms, ready to welcome you. And we have İpek based over in Turkey. She's there. She's always available on WhatsApp. We want to make the process as smooth as possible. We're lucky here with IEFT to work with some amazing partner agents as well. We can't wait to see you in England, in Ireland, in Canada, or even in my home country of Scotland. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity.
Çok teşekkür ederiz herkese. Çok sağ olun.
Biz çok teşekkür ederiz. Çok güzel bir sunum oldu. Bütün soruları da yanıtladınız zaten siz sunum sırasında. Tekrar çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Thank you very much again, Jonathan and İpek. It was very great to welcome you at the IEFT Talks webinars. Bye-bye.